what that means is I just want to stress out that when drawing people, we really need to take into account that everyone comes with the different proportions. And the fact that you've learned some of the main proportions doesn't mean that you got it all. So a quick story there is that I was working with a very talented artist, and you know, he was supposed to draw some people as different characters from a story. And when I told him, like, well, let me get you the proportions and, you know, who the characters are, he's like, no, I don't need that. I know anatomy really well. What happened was that we ended up with you know, the entire cast was, everyone was really well built. Everyone was super strong. Had amazing bodies. They were all the same, extremely well drawn. And the ones who were supposed to have that shape, because they were a little chubby, just basically were super strong people that just had bellies. And it was quite strange, because you see perfectly drawn bodies with a lot of anatomy knowledge, but at the end of the day, zero diversity, and you know, it's just the same person over and over. So what I want to stress out here to artists is that learning proportions is great, and understanding them is great, but you should take it with a grain of salt and know that just some people have big heads and short torsos and short legs and maybe very tiny feet, and that's okay, you know. And that doesn't mean that, you know, they're disproportionate. It's just that's their proportions. So that's okay. Just like it's okay to have someone with a very small head and, you know, super giant body. You know, this is all part of my class, and I go over this, but it's a common mistake. So what I'm trying to, the message here is, don't settle for just one body type. You know, the moment you learn that those proportions, don't take them at face value and be like, okay, you know, everybody should be like that. If you want to be a character designer and this stuff matters to you, then you should really go for different proportions, and to find those different characters. So that was, you know, the slip up number one. Slip up number two is symmetry. So basically, what's happening here is I see a lot of drawings where you have the body, and you know, the person is in some sort of a pose, and then we have, you know, a leg that is just of a completely different person, or and okay, I kind of drew it correctly here with sort of with perspective, but the point is that you know, even on a very frontal symmetrical situation, you still get the symmetry wrong. And so that's something I wanted to kind of turn your attention to, guys, that whatever you're drawing, people, just make sure that, you know, and take perspective into account, of course, but make sure that those limbs, you know, the ones that are supposed to be symmetrical, stay symmetrical, and you're not making something too big and the other one too thin. So very common mistake. I see that a lot, especially in stylized characters, and especially when we have some sort of stylization happening. Then it's very obvious. There's like the, you know, this leg, and then suddenly this one is like that. So some of these mistakes may happen because you're thinking perspective, but come on, check it out. Like, what kind of perspective is that? It's insane. Just be aware of that when you're drawing characters. Make sure that their limbs are symmetrical, and it, everything makes sense. I know this sounds really crazy when I say it, and you would be thinking, well, duh, of course it's supposed to be symmetrical, but trust me, it's a very common mistake. It's a classic slip up. So number three, it's broken limbs. That's another one. A total classic. So the broken limbs usually happen when we're trying to play with anatomy a lot, and we get so focused. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to pause for a second. Lim, if there are any questions that you see relevant to what I was talking, let me know, because I don't.
We'll let you know.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so the broken limbs. Broken limbs usually happen because because the connection between one joint and another is not straight. Or there, a leg. Now that leg is all right. That leg is not broken. But I'm going to show you how how it can very well be broken. So the classic place to break the leg is here and here, and obviously in the hand it's that's the wrist here. It's here and here. That's where they break easily. So what happens is you have one. You have your kind of joint here going towards this joint, and I actually like to separate the joint here into two imaginary circles like that. It kind of overlap, and then another one here. And what's really important is to have that straight line from one joint to another. From, if this is the circle, from here to here. And the point is that that straight line never gets, completely disproportionate. These two parts, like this line to, let me copy that. Here's how this is going to get broken. If you decide to really sort of exaggerate, because you know how it's going over here, and you want to do that. And now the leg, the leg kind of broke, because this edge, excuse me, got really close to the center line, while this is really disproportionate and got really away, which basically created that line. So now if I'm trying to keep that center line, it's going to go like this, and then it's no longer solid. Another way to look at it is if you have that circle here, and it's an imaginary circle. It's not the real joint is just inside that silhouette, and you have those vectors going out. If they're going, if the middle vector is going straight towards that joint, it's all good. So this one is going well, but this one is kind of going this way, and it's completely missing the other joint. So the point is that they both kind of hit each other, based on these vectors. But anyway, probably an easier way to remember this is just make sure that there's a straight line from the center of the joint to the other, and make sure that none of the outside lines, the silhouette, is way closer to the center than the other, like this. And here, what will happen is, when you try to exaggerate this muscle, and you basically get you get this now going in that direction. So that's a very common mistake. And the origin of that mistake is because you focus on the muscles and their curves and not on the structure. So it's really important for me that structure is there to begin with. So if you are trying to draw that, my approach would be, figure out your main structure and then add to it.
Hey, Victor.
Yep.
So the question is, when I rotate the character angle, I don't know where to start. Draw the head in front of the front body or the point of placing the front foot.
I really didn't understand the question. Can you please repeat it? Or you can, yeah, go ahead.
I just put it in Zoom chat as well. When I rotate the character angle, I don't know where to start. Draw the head in front of the front body or the point of placing the front foot. So how should he start the character, designing a character or posing a character?
That's, I would say, this is one of the slip ups, and let's keep that question if we have time at the end.
Okay.
So that was about, so this was about joints and structure. So basically try to make sure that from one joint to another, you have a really solid straight line and you don't have any crazy, see what happens here. Now we broke the leg here. This is a bit extreme, but I'm just trying to make a point and explain it. So that's another slip up that happens. And that's because you're trying to exaggerate too much of this. Obviously, if exaggeration and craziness is what you're going for, then it's going to work. I mean, Thomas Fluharty does it all the time and it works perfectly. But I'm talking about slightly more realistic drawing, then it's really going to be a problem. Also happens, with stylized characters as well. I've noticed it, no matter how, what the style is and how thin they go, they can go really, really thin. There's always going to be that center line that stays absolutely solid. Check out The Incredibles, check out, all the characters. I've actually tested that theory a lot, especially with those angles. And I teach it in my class in detail. So you'll be amazed how this works. So the next slip up that I want to talk about is left foot and right foot. Please, dear artists, seriously, let's get this straight. There's maybe a couple of types of shoes that are difficult to tell what foot is what, and that's a cowboy boot or a certain type of boots. But it's really essential that we get, when we draw shoes and feet to get the left and right. So I guess the stock is about raising the red flags and trying to give some important and fundamental advice for artists, especially younger artists who are now starting. Like, what are the most common things that you might slip, and so that's it. So how to understand left foot and right foot. So if we're looking at the legs from the front, feet especially, this is how it goes. That's your knee. So the way to remember it is this: they're falling just like a pyramid, like a tent. So the inside ankle bump is going to be higher than the outside one. That's it. And also the inside part will be kind of like a wall, while the outside part will be sort of going like this until it's horizontal. How does that resolve into a foot? Well, there it goes sort of straight in, out. Well, this is sort of going like that. And when you draw them, it's very important to pay attention to how to draw those. So it does look like it does look like, you know, what you need it to be, and not something else. Again, you know, it's one of the topics that I go over. From the inside, you have a high bump here, and then this is sort of all very very tall. We have that. So that's fine. And of course, feet are different, so we have that. But that's just another thing that I really wanted to get people's attention. It's super important. I know it's not easy, but do take the time, because it's just really uncool when you draw a character and you've rendered it and you spend the time to render it so well. But unfortunately, it just looks like you can't tell if he has two left shoes or has two shoes that are either foot. And we have to make sure that that it works. Okay, so the next slip up that I want to talk about is foreshortening, but not really. So the slip up that I've noticed that usually happens is, you know, we're trying to create a, you know, a body, and, you know, foreshortening, you know, let's say, okay, from the top, and we're drawing, and we feel like we have to show absolutely everything, you know, this, and then we have to show every single muscle that we know of, just to make sure that it's all correct. And more, and show more, and just make it smaller and smaller and smaller. So it may look like, you know, it looks like, yeah, it sounds like you're trying to do foreshortening, but in reality, most likely there are a lot of things you're just not going to see. So if that's the body from the side, let's say head, and you're seeing it from here, all this is gone. You're not going to see that. So up to here, this is gone. So that head is suddenly here. Then, same thing. Suddenly, you know, all this from here to here is happening in a really narrow spot. So all this stuff is going to be kind of gone. It's going to be like that, because it's kind of overlapping each other, and it's really small. Then we're going to see maybe a little bit of bump here. So he has a something, then there it is. And then legs, especially if they go back. Suddenly the knee, you can barely see the knee. And again, very little of the legs. So most likely we're not going to see the knee, or we're going to see very little of it. And we're not going to see a lot of that part. And all that will be a lot closer. So now this starts looking a lot more like a foreshortening. And the point I'm trying to make is for creating a decent foreshortening, you don't need to make every single volume visible that you know of, because some volumes are just not going to be seen. Like the neck is just not there at all. Like you know, here, all that area just not visible, period. Mouth, you know, maybe we're not even going to see the mouth. It's just going to be, you know, under the nose over here. And maybe, you know, this is going to be right under the nose. Depends, you know, what kind of angle it is, and, you know, is this going forward or not? But the whole point in foreshortening is to not be afraid to hide things and just not show them, because most likely you're not going to see them. All right, so let's see slip up number 6. I was there. Okay. Cool. So the next slip up that I wanted to chat is a stiff pose. So one of the questions was something about, you know, where to start, character, and let me see, what was it? When I rotate the character angle, I don't know where to start. Draw the head in front of the body, or a point of placing the front foot. So everything starts with knowing what you're drawing, honestly. So what I've seen a lot from character designers is that they're really afraid of expressing a character, and you have to think about what that character is doing right now. Like, you have to be aware of what are they doing. Are you just designing a character, or are you trying to do an interesting character? Well, to do an interesting pose, and for the pose to be interesting, it have to mean something. And if it doesn't mean anything, you're just going to end up with a character who's just twisting themselves and no particular reason somewhere. So you know, let's say you want someone who is looking for something, you know. So let's say a very stiff way to do it is, okay, well, there's a character looking this way, and you'll see how I'm doing a lot, you know, my main shapes are very simple. And again, it's something I teach in my class. So here I'm doing a character who is trying to look for something, and the sun is in their eyes, and they're looking for something. Okay, so fine. How do you start drawing that pose? Well, just like that, you know, imagine where they are and there. But it's stiff, boring, it's not interesting. So to make it more fun, you have to think, you know, who's that character? What are they doing? Do they, you know, that pose says, I'm expecting something from that direction. So my entire body is facing that direction, because whatever's going to come and whatever I'm looking for, it's in that direction. So now, how to make this interesting? Well, if they didn't know where that thing is, you know, whatever they're looking for, if they're just searching for it, which is just a different story. Now it's like, you know, you have a character who is trying to, you know, look for something in a different direction, and suddenly, you know, when their body was over here. So maybe what happened was, oh shit, I was looking here, but it's actually over there. So it's like, huh, you know, and that hand is just over here and saying, oh wait, you know, that's where it is, you know, hey guys, look over here. So, it comes from me imagining what they're going through, what they're thinking, and playing with it, saying, okay, so he was originally looking in that direction, but then he saw something and he turned and was like, oh, hey, this way. So, well, in that case, I kind of hit his face, but whatever, you can figure it out. Depends on what kind of story you're doing. So, how to start drawing characters? It has to do a lot with volumes, and I do see everything as basic volumes because it helps me figure out where the perspective is and how to balance everything. But the point that I was trying to make here in this particular slip up is drawing stiff characters, and the stiffness comes from the fact that you don't know what they're doing, and you're afraid to twist the parts of the body in order to get that story going. So I would suggest to not draw a character in a dynamic pose for the dynamic pose. Draw the character in a dynamic pose for the purpose of the story, for whatever that character is doing at the moment. So if you don't know, then figure it out. Get inspired, look at something, read a book, see something on the web, and then that that will mean something. Right now it's just a do. Like if I make him a pirate or something, and if he's holding a gun, now I know that he's in a situation where there could be danger because he's obviously armed and ready to defend himself or do whatever. But again, point is story, story first. That's going to help you with so a question here. I always see you start constructing a character from the torso. Is this for a reason or is it just a habit? I actually start from the head, and it's a habit, but also it's just how I think. I always start with where the head is and where the head is looking, and then everything else follows there, depending on what I want to do. I don't even know what I'm doing right now, but there, there's another very dynamic character who's also looking in that direction. Is like, oh shit, they're there. Anyway, so yeah, there's different ways to go about this. You should choose the one that is meaningful for you. The stuff I'm teaching in my class has a lot to do with structure to help you. I'm going to teach you how to block a head, for example, really easily. So you always get it right, and it's not a problem when you want to do. There's I'm now having fun basically. I don't know what I'm doing, but there's a dude emerging from this thing, and it's so easy for me to slip into drawing shit because I don't see you guys. I don't see the YouTube channel, so I don't have the concept of people watching me. So it just feels like I'm talking to myself the entire time. Anyway, any ideas on how to make studying fundamentals a bit more fun? Well, my idea was in my class. So if you haven't tried that, try it. If it's not fun, then I don't know what to tell you. I try to make it as fun as possible and as simple and as approachable as possible. So I'm curious to see what you think. if my class was fun or not. All right, so let's see, we have 3 more slip-ups to observe. Okay, this one, many horizons. So something that I have witnessed a lot is a character that is seen from too many eye levels at the same time. So what does that mean? We have, here's a character seen from a few different eye levels. Here's one. Like some really crazy perspective. But when you see it, it kind of feels like, okay, we have one horizon over here. Oops, sorry. We have one horizon over here, and everything else is just going, somewhere there. Then suddenly the torso has a different idea, and the torso is supposed to be going in that same way, but now the torso is has its own horizon over here. And then we have the pelvis, and it has its own thing going as well. So what's happening here is there's a lot of wrong stuff, and it's basically coming from the fact that mistake I've noticed, it happens very often when an artist sort of zooms in and is like, I'm going to work on the head, and now we kind of tend to almost just automatically assume that if we're looking at that area, we have a horizon over here. And we should never forget where the actual horizon of the piece of the illustration is, because there can be only one. There cannot be more. You can have volumes that are in space and rotated, but the horizon line would only be one. So it happens when you focus on this, and then you go down here, and then you start working on that. And then again, that horizon, kind of slips in here, and again, you're working on that, and it feels good. It feels right. And you move down here, and there's your horizon again, and it feels good. It feels right. And then you zoom out, and suddenly, like, what's going on here? Everything is its own thing. So my advice is really to say, okay, that's where my horizon is. Head is going to be above it. So let's assume that my character is straight. So I'll have this thing go down because it's above the horizon. So I'll see everything from below. As it goes down, I'll see this from below as well. But now I just leveled up here. So now I'm starting to see everything from above. And then I have this thing. But now if I see the if I see the rib cage as a cylinder, then I'm going to see the bottom of this part from below and this one from above. Then if I go down, the pelvis area, I'm seeing it clearly from above. And then legs are from above, knee, down, feet. So this is a very common mistake, and that's why I wanted to sort of point it out. Always think in volumes and with only one horizon. It's a horizon line, and that's it. So everything should be according to that. You should always, keep in mind. Of course, you might have a situation where things are different, and let's say you have a head that is like that, going, and then actually let's do it differently. You have a head that is sort of bowed down, so it's going like that. And then you have a torso that's going this way. Well, this is a really twisted thing, but anyway. And then you have a pelvis that's going that way. And then leg could be going towards you. That's a very dynamic pose. And then what you have to decide is, where is the horizon, and how is that body posed according to the horizon? Like what's going to be above, etc. Like if see it from a distance, from a side, sorry, then we have a head like this, then a body like that, all this, then we have a knee going forward, so this one is going down. But you should always have that in mind, and never slip up. All right, there's a question. Can you suggest how a beginner should start studying anatomy gesture, the best way to study anatomy? Well, I'm totally trumpeting my class here, but this, I worked for 3 years to come up with that class, how to teach anatomy without freaking out with lots of names. So I, really encourage you to check it out, see if you like it, see if it's easy. And basically, I try to answer your question with my class, really. That's what happens. So if you're a beginner and you want to start studying anatomy and gesture, well, give my class a chance and see if that's helpful. That's precisely what I try to address it with it. Okay, the next slip up, number 8. And by the way, they're not in number of importance or anything. I just tried to list them in just going from a really major thing going to little tiny details. So the major thing was proportions, and how we learned that one body type, and then we think that we got it all. No, we didn't. So to be a successful character designer, you really need to think of variations, think of anomalies, etc. But we'll go back to all of them. Let's check out number 8, and number 8 is clothes without a body. So that's a very interesting one, and I've seen many examples of that. So usually happens when you have your character, and there's your character, and you start designing the clothes, and you're designing clothes, and you're worrying about wrinkles, etc., and then worrying about, again, the design and what kind of stuff you're going to put in, and then where the buttons are, and then you're going to do, then you're going to do the, I don't know, belt or whatever, and then more wrinkles. And this stuff is especially obvious when you see some crazy dudes in armor. Like, that's super funny. So you see this guy, being absolutely heroic, big chin, very little head, and then suddenly he has this armor, and it goes, and it's like this big armor over here, and he has a lot of stuff going, and then the armor is very heroic, And this looks like I'm stylizing it right now, but I've seen so many where, people actually, going for it for real, trying to get that guy for real. And, you know, and suddenly, if you think about it, that guy inside would be this, because it's armor, so he has to have some sort of, structure in there. Again, I just didn't want to take anyone's drawing for this. I didn't have time to create a bad example to show you. So that's why I'm slightly exaggerating, just so you get the idea. But when you, and it's easy, just go and Google some warrior concept art, and you'll see so many examples. If you put them like that and you try to guess where the limbs are going, suddenly you'll end up with a really freakish body, or someone with no neck, very tiny torso, but then gigantic arms. That's also another situation that I've seen a lot, where their body armor is immense. Around here, it's just this super heavy thing. It looks like thick armor, all that, and then you see their arms, and they're just giant. And the arms seem okay towards the um, the armor, but if you try to imagine the body inside, it's absolutely dreadful. Same with designing, when you go for the clothes first and worry about wrinkles instead of what's inside. So my approach to this is, do the body quickly, as sort of naked, just the shapes, just the general shapes, know what's where, and then hang everything on top of that. Hang everything on top. Do the those wrinkles to actually go over the arms. Think about that, and that's really going to help you have a body that is, have clothes that have a body inside of them, and not just an abstract bunch of wrinkles. See, okay. Let's see, a lot of questions here piled up. How does Vic approach his gesture drawing for short periods and longer ones while keeping construction? I'm not exactly sure about the short periods and longer ones. I don't get that very well. I'm not sure I understand if it's about construction. That then what I do is sometimes I'll start with head, torso, direction of limbs, and whatever afterwards happens, depending on what the gesture is. This person is jumping right now, I guess. So I'm going for volumes and directions. That's it. That's what I'm going for. You have any tips for leg size? Always get to make bigger, most time bigger or shorter. Well, yeah, I have a lot of tips for that. Again, part of my class, while I teach it in detail. Short answer is, if you are happy with the head size, then the foot is about this much. So, check your characters. So if that's my character's head, and I want to do a foot here, let's say it's kind of going this way from the side so we can see it, I'll go with that size, which is about this much. So that's the foot I'm going to do, and it's going to be correct. That's it. However, there are people with smaller feet and bigger feet. So this is kind of arbitrary. You know, it's not always the same with different people. Some people will be here, some people will be here, some people will be here. It's somewhere here. There is no solid answer to that. What is the most common mistake in balance, center of gravity, and gestures? Well, the most common mistake for that is when you don't know how to check it. And how to check it, again, part of my class, I explained that in detail. And I actually have a very fun interactive exercise for you to practice the knowledge and make sure that you got it. It's basically very simple. You have the torso and the pelvis. You don't even need anything else. Like all you have to know is the torso and the pelvis. Center of gravity is either here or here. It's here when the torso is above the pelvis. The moment the torso moves somewhere, it's this thing. So actually, you know, let's cut the middleman. It's just here. Then you have legs. So what matters is from the top, you know, you see where the feet are. And as long as a vertical from the center of the torso, you know, from the side, it's going to be like this. A vertical from, a vertical from here. As long as that vertical falls in that area, you're good. If it drops anywhere outside of it, the person falls. If the idea is that that person is static. Of course, in a dynamic pose, well, anything goes. Like here, for example, that person is falling down, but they're, you know, he's jumping, so it's fine. There's the foot. And that's how you measure. Basically, I've seen some people say it's here. No, it's not really there. It's right in the middle of the rib cage. That's where the heaviest parts are, and that's what really makes a difference. So you just have to make sure that vertically, that center drop down falls into the area between the legs, or if the person is on one leg, it's somewhere inside the foot. Or if it's on tiptoes, then it falls right here. You know, that vertical, which is a very narrow thing, so that's kind of difficult, but that's the general idea. With me, I'll answer the other question in a second. Let's go to the number 9, slip up, smaller eye in 3/4. I see that a lot, all the time, in cartoon characters and in real live characters, and what happens. So it's very interesting. There's your face, and you're trying to, you know, make it so you have one eye here, and then you're trying to make the other one, and you know that it's supposed to be smaller, and you just go like this. And you're trying to duplicate kind of that shape, but it goes smaller. So the thing that you need to, how to avoid that, it's not getting smaller, it's getting narrower. The size is going to stay the same. Sorry, not the size, but the height is going to stay the same. So this will be the same. It's just going to get narrower. Depending on the eye again, but that's the thing. So don't make it smaller altogether, just make it narrower, especially obvious with cartoon characters. You know, that is the correct thing. The incorrect thing is when you're trying to make it, and you go for a smaller R. So classic slip up. I've seen it millions of times, not millions, but thousands. All right. So, and the last one that I wanted to say is ears. Guys, seriously, just freaking learn it. It's you have to. An ear is very simple. It's this, then it's that, then it's this, it's that, and that, and there you have it. You just have to learn this. It's super direct. This is the logic on how this goes. There's a channel over here. Everybody's different, but that logic is the same. Some people, this stuff will be missing. With others, this won't be very pronounced. Other people will have a very big earlobe. Others will have a very tiny one, almost non-existent. However, the logic is here. So just learn it. The easiest thing is just to look around and look at the people around you. Again, it's stuff that I teach in my class, so it should be pretty easy to get it. So yeah, my class is called Deconstructed. Let's look at the some more questions. I find that a lot more advanced artists get right into the clothing without drawing the figure first, but I think that comes with experience. You're absolutely right. I'm not saying that is not correct to draw, straight from the clothes. If you're confident, go for it. I guess I'm more I'm addressing younger artists, and I'm just sharing the most common slip-ups. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. I was just trying to give a way out of it, a way to not do it. And if it's something that may happen to you and is happening to you as you draw, the way to avoid it is to draw the body in there and then put the clothes on top and make sure that the thin cloth where it hangs, where gravity pulls it, it's almost exactly the same as where the body contour is. And the stuff that is hanging is actually going to miss the body contour, and you'll have other volumes around it. Let's see. Another question is, other than life, of course, any other source that comes to mind that cover facial expressions and emotions? There's some websites. I think Bodies in Motion has that. I use Bodies in Motion in my schoolism class. It's an incredible source for anatomy and facial expressions. So check that out. Another question is, what advice would you give for someone who has a lot of hours skill, has a hard time branding himself, finding any work at all? So someone who has a lot of hours / skill. I'm not understanding that question very well. If you mean someone that spend a lot of hours on their skills, but can't brand themselves and can't find work, I honestly cannot give a principal advice. I would have to see the work and see what might jump at me as to a point of improvement. But just like that, in a very abstract matter, I cannot answer that question because I'm afraid I might even not understand it correctly. So that's it. I think my time's up.